Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Just wanted to do a brief kind of introduction to week, the material, the content, assignments that we're going to be covering this week in the course, which is week 5. So we're over the halfway point, which is great. So you guys all should pat yourselves on the back for making it this far. So let's jump in and talk about what we're going to be talking about for week 5. So we are at week 5, and this week there are 3 lessons, but technically they're just one topic that's been divided up into 3 parts. So the title that I've used is Navigating the Health Education, Health Promotion Information Minefield. So this is all about, if I had to describe it or sum it up, I'll describe it as a media literacy lesson. This is learning how to be critical evaluators of media and of articles and data that come out. And as you know, we kind of live in this age of information overload. And I talk about that in actually, I think, the first lesson this week, the recorded lesson that I did, or the recorded presentation that I did. So it can be very overwhelming. And how do we know what to believe and how know what, maybe is not as quite believable, right? And there's a lot of gray area there between truth and fiction, on what's true and what's false. So this is where we are. That should say week 6. If I haven't corrected that by now, I'm sorry about that, guys. And again, that's just week 6, so sorry about that. I don't know, typos everywhere. All right, so week 5. Here we are. Go back real quick. Sorry, my mouse is just not working. All right, so here we are. So I give this disclaimer. This is what your lesson materials page should look like for week 5. Please note that all of the week 5 lessons A, B, and C are going to cover content presented in chapter 9 of your textbook. This is from the 7th edition, but the pages it's exactly the same chapter for the 8th edition. Okay. Each lesson, what I've done is just going to focus on one or more of the types of information sources. So lesson A talks about popular press publications, so things like Time, Newsweek, newspapers, Shape magazine. Lesson B, we're going to talk about government and non-government websites and reports and data that comes, or reports that come from the government. And lesson C is probably the most challenging. This is where we talk about trying to, at the very kind of superficial level, be able to understand some basic techniques for evaluating articles that are published in the scholarly literature, or peer-reviewed articles as they're commonly called. Okay, so for lesson A, like I said, we're talking about popular press publications. And for this, what I've done is, if you click on this link right here, this should pull up a separate tab where you can download a PowerPoint show that has my recorded voice on it. So it'll pull it up. There's a PowerPoint file that you can download, and when you open that download file, it should automatically start playing. You should hear my voice, and you can kind of click through the slides. If not, if you have any trouble with that, please let me know. Right here, if you click this link, you can download a copy of the slides in a PDF form that are from this recorded presentation. Your class participation or course participation for week 5, lesson A, is via this online survey, and all it is a reflection form, similar to what you've seen in the past. I'm asking you to just describe 3 unique things that you happen to learn from watching this presentation. Okay, so that's your lesson A. This is your class participation grade for lesson A for week 5, is right here, this online survey. For lesson B, we're talking about government and non-governmental websites. You have been assigned 2 Edpuzzle activities. So if you click on these, each will pull up a video. It'll ask you some questions. These are your 2 class participation assignments that have been assigned for lesson B for week 5. Okay, let me know if you have any issues accessing those 2 Edpuzzle activities. Okay. Last but not least, like I said, peer-reviewed articles or understanding the scholarly literature can be one of the most challenging things. And I tell my students many times over, it's difficult to read. It's not necessarily designed to be difficult to read, but there's a lot of jargon that is used, and the audience is an academic audience. So if you're like, I don't understand this or what's going on, that's because most peer-reviewed articles are written for a population that has spent a long time training to do this type of research and to read these types of articles. I'll tell my students many times that when I was pursuing my doctoral degree at UNC Chapel Hill, you're required as a doctoral student to take a class every single semester until you pass your comprehensive exam, which is kind of the first step getting your PhD, so that basically all you do every week is you practice reading and critiquing journal articles with your peers. So it's a really important skill to have as an academic, but we're just trying to kind of get you guys where you can do kind of a basic analysis and assessment of this type of publication. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, you've got 6 of these Edpuzzle activities. Like I said, this is the most intensive portion, right? The URLs are all there. Okay. Let me know if you have any trouble accessing those. Okay, so in addition to your quiz, which I'm not going to go over here because it's just like the weeks before, just different content, I am going to talk real quick about the week 5 homework. So what I'm asking you to do for this week's homework is essentially to take a stab at kind of practice evaluating some peer review research or scholarly article. Like I said in the previous, slide, it's hard, it's challenging, it's not meant to be something that you can do at the last minute. Okay, so this is the first page of the instructions. When you access the homework assignment, you should see there are 3 PDF files that you can download. This is the first one. This has all of the instructions and the questions, and it's the form that I'm going to ask you to use when you're completing the assignment to put your answers in, and then I'll grade it after you've submitted it. Okay? So, a couple things to note. There are essentially 2 articles that I'm asking you to read. This is the assignment instructions. The first article is by Folks, and essentially what it's doing is it's going over some basic criteria. It's a very short article talking about some criteria that you can use to evaluate the validity and the merit of a scholarly article. Okay, so the second article is the article by Gao and al. Is the one that I'm going to ask you to assess. Okay, it's a weight loss article. I'm sorry, it's a weight prevention article designed to help with college students, helping to prevent what they call the freshman 15. Okay, so that's the research article that I'm going to be asking you to read and then answer these questions about. A few hints, my suggestions on how I would go about completing this week's homework. The very first thing that I would do is download the PDF document that has all of the instructions on it and all of the questions. I think it's 5 pages. This is just the first page. Read through all of the instructions carefully and specifically read through the questions, okay? All of the questions so that you know what type of information that you're going to be asked about and that you can be looking for. That way you can further guide and focus your research and your reading when you're reading the 2 articles, okay? Both the criteria article and the actual article that you're going to be critiquing, okay? So that you know what to focus on. I would then read through the Folks article so that you're really familiar with the criteria that you're going to be asked to kind of apply, right? This is the first page again. I think it's like 4 pages. It's pretty short, pretty easy read, not really jargony from what I remember. So this is what I would do second, read through these guidelines, these criteria. And then I would finish the third step by start essentially with the abstract. The abstract is always that is the summary article or the summary section. It describes beginning, middle, and end of this entire research project. And then when you read the actual article, it's going to go into more detail. So start with the abstract and then start trying to kind of read through the article and then using the criteria and to answer the questions that you're being asked. If you guys have any questions about this or any of the assignments or you need me to go over or help, we can set up a phone call. I'm happy to do that. Or if you just want to email me or text me if you have any questions about completing or answering any of the questions for this assignment, please don't hesitate to let me know. All right, same for everything else. As always, you've got, you have my cell phone number, you've got my email. Feel free to call me, text me, whatever, anytime, and I'll do my best to respond to your questions as soon as possible. All right, I hope you guys are having a good week, and we'll talk to you later.